Hello and welcome. I figured it was about time for another update on Arnold the Jeep. And first, let me tell you where the name came from. Before I bought this, my friend Judy and I were having supper, and I mentioned to her that I was going to buy this. And that at that time, the brand was actually Willys, not Jeep as it is today. And she looks at me, because we are both of a certain age. She goes, "What you talking about, Willys?" So I couldn't actually name the Jeep Willys. I mean, let's be honest, that would be silly, right? No, instead I named it Arnold, which I have now decided stands for a really nifty old Jeep. So where are we now? Well, I will frankly admit that I have been concentrating on the low-hanging fruit. What I have done is I uncovered the rocker panels on both sides. That looks pretty tragic, and it is. But conversely, you can buy these panels for like 30 bucks a piece, so I'm not even going to try to make something. I took a big old chunk of galvanized metal roofing off the corner. Still have to pound out the roundness. And it's funny, this big old dent down here, well, some prior owner had completely filled it level with Bondo. Kind of like a bad chef will take a lopsided cake and make it level with frosting, except not nearly as sweet. Before we get to the other side, I have decided that the tailgate is a lost cause. I tried banging out some of the dents, and frankly, I think I damaged my hearing a little bit more than it already is. I'll probably have to go see somebody about that, but kind of pointless. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to tell me, "Hey, Jim, your tinnitus has gotten worse, and we can't do anything about it." Why would I pay a copay to hear that? Haha, get it? Hear that? Anyway, when I took the galvanized roofing off this corner, well, you can kind of see what I found. It wasn't as bad as I had feared it would be. It was worse. What I'm going to do is cut out this whole bit here, and I'm going to make a patch out of the remains of my old Ford Ranger's bed. And incidentally, that's where the new floor for the rear section is coming from as well. So, yeah, this rocker panel has not gotten any better since the last video. However, on the inside, I was able to mostly reshape that upper panel for the floor. And I finally got the skid plate off of the transmission crossmember. One of the 4 bolts was frozen, and oh man, did that give me pains. While we're down here, you can see, if I can get a little closer, that the forward bolt on the master cylinder, yeah, it's rounded. Oh joy, gonna have to get in there, do a little contortion, and get the angle grinder on it. But it is what it is. Here on the wheel well, there was a really badly constructed panel. Got rid of that, thankfully. Yeah, the whole floor pan basically needs to be replaced. And I'll tell you what, at the moment, I'm thinking I'm going to just cut this whole thing out and put a flat floor in it. It'd be kind of, well, I won't say impossible, but extraordinarily difficult to rebuild this storage box. But I will save that panel just in case I get really ambitious at some point. The rear bed, as I mentioned, is going to get a replacement panel from the floor of my Ranger's old bed. The bed is in pretty good shape. It was the wheel wells and the bottom portion of the rear fender that went on that. So I got plenty of raw materials. What else? Oh, yeah. Here's the aforementioned skid plate, and that was the offending bolt, and it's still stuck in there. Luckily, I was able to get the nut off of it. Man, I wondered for a while there if I was going to do that. I cleaned the hood, and I wet sanded it. And right here, I gave it a quick patch with some JB weld because there was a hole in it. And I know this isn't going to sit well with everybody, but I'm kind of going with what some folks call a rustoration. I never intended for this to be a Pebbles Beach restoration. It's going to be something more akin to roadkill, where they have bad ideas executed well. Speaking of, to get at that stuff down there, I had to cut out a lot of the damaged tunnel. And I'm thinking, since I don't know yet what I'm going to do for a drivetrain, which is way down on my priority list, to be honest, what I'm going to do is build a new floor and a new transmission tunnel there. But I'm going to leave a big old piece open here that I can bolt to the floor so that I can take it on and off to get at stuff down here. What else? Well, that's about it for the main body, I guess. Now you can see there's some stuff going on over on the table here. I was able to get most of that black paint off the original instruction sticker. I didn't dare to go too much further with it. I was using acetone, and I didn't want to eliminate the white printing on the yellow background. Still, it's kind of interesting. That gauge cluster's coming off at some point, and that is going to be filled because, wow, somebody really wanted that radio out, didn't they? I get the parking brake cable off, but the housing was already broken. Since that is steel, I'm kind of hoping that I can maybe weld that back together. I've seen T-handle replacement units in the various catalogs, but not this cane handle, I guess they call them. So I'm going to try to save it if I can. And speaking of saving something if I can, yeah, this is the passenger fender. And as you can see, it's in pretty bad shape. I've had some preliminary luck chipping off the Bondo because one of the prior owners, they really liked their Bondo. And this is where it gets problematic. It's no better underneath. I think what I'm going to do is take off this galvanized panel and temporarily glue something up in the back and then try to fiberglass the worst parts here. You can see it's got some ways to go. And the reason I'm trying to save these fenders, well, frankly, it's monetary. A pair of front fenders for the CJ go for almost as much as I paid for the vehicle in the first place. There's a certain hesitancy on my part to go that route. I'm not saying that I won't, but I'm saying in the short term, I'm going to use fiberglass. And as bad as the passenger fender is, the driver's side fender is even worse. I mean, God's sake, look at that. This is going to be a challenge. Although, you know, I am kind of digging the hot rod roadster look here without the front fenders. I mean, can you picture in here like a small block Chevy V8 with fender well drag style headers coming up out of there? That would be awesome. No doubt would really annoy the purists, but there are enough museum examples of this vehicle around. I'm going to make this a driver, and I'm going to make it the way I like it. So there we go. An update on the progress of Arnold the Jeep. Now, I haven't shown you how I did all these little bits and pieces on it, because you've seen enough videos, I'm sure, of how to turn a wrench, how to sand body filler, how to use a rattle can. So instead, what I'm showing you is where I am presently with the truck. Yeah, I guess I could call it a truck. After all, the Army originally called it a light-duty truck. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Goodbye and have a great day.